After line items have been received and added to an invoice, and charges and credits distributed or adjusted as needed, an invoice is ready to be paid. Staff can pay an entire invoice at once or opt to pay for individual line items or segments. This video will walk you through how to do both. Let's review how to pay an entire invoice. A reminder that before you pay an entire invoice, all line items on the invoice must be received. First, open the invoice work form. Select Tools and Pay from the menu bar, or select the Pay icon from the shortcut bar. The check voucher box will appear. If needed, type the voucher or check number in the number box. To enter a different date for the payment, type in the date box or select a new date from the calendar. Click OK. If the invoice can be paid without exceeding fund limits, you'll see a message indicating that the invoice was paid successfully in the status bar at the bottom of the work form. The status of the invoice will change from open to paid, and all lines will be updated to a status of paid. When an invoice is paid, all linked funds are disencumbered and expended. If the fund's free balance or expenditure limits will be exceeded when the invoice is paid, the Over Expenditures dialog box will open. At that time, staff with the appropriate permissions can override the expenditure limits to pay the invoice by clicking Continue. Staff can also click Adjust Funds to modify fund values if needed. If you don't want to pay the entire invoice, you can split up the invoice and only pay for select lines at a time. When you pay for a line item, you pay for the total quantity received for the line item. You can also pay for individual segments of a line item if you don't want to pay for all the copies received. To pay for one or more line items on an invoice, open the invoice work form and select the line items view. Select a single item or select multiple items by using the Control key and selecting the lines you'd like to pay for. Select the Pay icon to pay for just the selected items. The Check Voucher dialog box will appear. If needed, type the voucher or check number in the number box and adjust the date if needed. Click OK. Invoice lines were paid successfully appears in the status bar. At this time, the status of the invoice changes from open to part paid. The payment status of the selected lines will change from open to paid, and the linked funds will be unencumbered and expended. As I mentioned earlier, you can also pay for a line item segment rather than the entire line item. You might want to do this, for example, if you didn't receive all copies of a line item on an invoice and you only want to pay for the portion you received. To pay only for a segment, open the invoice line item and right-click the specific segment you would like to pay for and select Pay. The Segment Payment Credit dialog box will open. Type in the quantity you want to pay for and click OK. The Check Voucher dialog box will appear. Complete the fields in the box and click OK. If you paid for only a portion of the segment will be split. The unpaid segment will appear as a separate segment in the line. If you accidentally paid an invoice and need to undo, open the invoice work form you need to undo payment for. Select Tools, Undo Payment, or click the Undo Payment icon. A message will appear asking if you would like to undo payment. Click Yes to proceed. This will reverse the previous expenditures in any linked fund and will re-encumber the amounts. You can correct any mistakes on the invoice and then pay the invoice again. Questions about invoices? Email us at help@ccslib.org.